Hello everyone, it's Refresh, and I bring to you a battle between two Hour of Devastation sealed decks, a Selesnya deck and a Gruul deck, and the Defeat a God Challenge deck from Journey into Nyx. We'll be starting on normal difficulty with 3 Rollicking Throngs out, and the Hour of Devastation sealed decks will be using the Harvester hero card, which lets them draw and discard a card each turn, the Explorer hero card, which will let them play an additional land each turn, and the Vanquisher hero card, which will increase their starting hand size by 1 and their maximum hand size by 1. Let's go ahead and draw. Selesnya has only 2 lands and not a lot of great things, so we will mulligan and then redraw to 8 because it is a multiplayer game. Now we have 4 lands and several playables eventually, and so we will keep this. Gruul has 3 lands, a Burning Fist Minotaur, Defiant Kenra, a Hyena Pack, and Ronas's Monument. I think this is probably worth giving a shot to, so let's go ahead and keep this. Alright, turn 1, Selesnya will play a Plains and a Forest, and will pass. Gruul will play a Mountain and a Forest, and will play a Defiant Kenra, and then we'll also pass turn. Xenagos will get his first turn. He will cast the top 2 cards, the first being Ripped to Pieces. At the beginning of combat each turn, each Reveler deals 1 damage to each player and each creature those players control. And then, an Ecstatic Piper. When Ecstatic Piper enters the battlefield, Xenagos' Ascendant attacks each turn able. Now there are 4 Revelers, so the players will take 4 damage each, that's 8 damage, and each creature will take 4 damage as well. Defiant Kenra perishes, and the players will lose 8 life to go to 12. And then Xenagos will go into attack, taking another 6 life to bring us to 6. We will loot at the end of the turn. Selesnya draws a Dusk to Dawn, and Gruul draws a Mountain. We'll go ahead and discard the Steadfast Sentinel, because it can be eternalized, and we will discard a Burning Fist Minotaur, because it might be a bit too weak. And then we'll untap. Selesnya will draw a card, which is a Sandblast. Gruul will draw a card, which is a Forest. We're going to loot one time to see if we can get this Dusk online. So we'll loot once more early with the Harvester, drawing a Fanbearer for Selesnya and a Forest for Gruul. Gruul will discard the extra Forest. Selesnya will discard the Rampaging Hippo. And then on their turn, Selesnya will play the Survivor's Encampment and the Forest. And then we'll play the Fanbearer. And Gruul will play a Mountain and a Forest. And then play the Hyena Pack. Then we'll pass the turn back to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap and cast the top 2 cards. The first being Impulsive Return. Return 2 cards named Ecstatic Piper from Xenagos' graveyard to the battlefield at the beginning of combat. Impulsive Return deals damage to each player equal to the number of Revelers on the battlefield. And then we'll also cast the Dance of Flame. Whenever a Reveler attacks, Dance of Flame deals 1 damage to each player. There are no Ecstatic Pipers to return. We will take 8 damage from the Impulsive Return and will perish. So that is a loss for the Hour of Devastation sealed decks for the very first game against the easy mode Xenagos. We'll go ahead and return and see how well we do against hard mode. And we are back for game 2. We are now on hard mode against 4 Rollicking Throngs. We will again play with all the same cards and see how we do. Let's draw. Selesnya has 3 lands, a Ramper, and some decent plays, so we'll go ahead and keep this. Gruul only has 2 lands, so I think it's probably in our best interest to mulligan 8 cards again. Gruul has 5 lands, but some good top end and a Frilled Sandwalla, which is not great, but it's a start, so let's go ahead and keep this hand. Turn 1, Selesnya will play a Plains and a Forest, and then we'll play the Gustwalker actually. Gruul will play a Mountain and Forest, and we'll play the Frilled Sandwalla. We'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will play the top two cards, the first being Ecstatic Piper. When Ecstatic Piper enters the battlefield, Xenagos Ascended attacks this turn if able. He is able, so he will attack. As well as Serpent Dancers. When Serpent Dancer leaves the battlefield, each player will draw a card. It's in a 2/4. Alright, Xenagos is going to attack for 6. The players will take 6, because we're not going to chump it, and go to 14. And then at the end of the turn, we will loot with the Harvester. Selesnya will draw a Compulsory Rest. Gruul will draw a Hyena Pack. Go ahead and discard the Scaled Behemoth. And then on this side, we will discard the expensive Aven of Enduring Hope. And we'll hope to get there a little bit less. Alright, let's untap. Draw. Selesnya gets a Plains. Gruul gets a Defiant Kenra. We'll go ahead and play the Plains, the Evolving Wilds. We'll crack the Evolving Wilds and sack it for a basic forest, which will come into play tapped. Gruul will play a Mountains and a Forest. And then Selesnya is going to go ahead and play the Compulsory Rest on Xenagos, preventing him from attacking in the future. Gruul will play the Hyena Pack. And then Selesnya will attack with the Gust Walker, exerting it so that it gets +1/+1 and will kill the Ecstatic Piper. When Ecstatic Piper leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life. So that's 4 life total for the team to take us back to 18. And then we will pass the turn. Xenagos is going to untap and then is going to cast the top 2 cards. The first being a Ferrous Band Revelers, which is a 4/4. When Ferrous Band Revelers leaves the battlefield, each player draws a card, and will cast then the Maddening Oreade. As long as 5 or more Revelers are on the battlefield, Maddening Oreade attacks each turn able. Alright, so that just leaves the Maddening Oreade to attack as a 4/3. I think we actually do want to sacrifice the Hyena Pack to the Maddening Oreade, so they will trade. The Madden Oreade, when it leaves the battlefield, each player will gain 3 life. That's 6 life gained to take us to 24. At the end of the turn, we will loot. Selesnya will draw a Plains. Gruul will draw another Hyena Pack. We will go ahead and discard the not so impressive Defiant Kenra. And we will discard the Hope Tender, which is a little slow at this point. Now we'll untap. The Gust Walker is no longer exerted. We'll draw. Selesnya will draw a Rampaging Hippo. Gruul will draw a Rampaging Hippo. That's a lot of Rampaging Hippos that we can't cast. Selesnya will play a Plains, and then we'll play a Giant Spider. Gruul will play the other Hyena Pack, and then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will draw and play Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat, all Revelers gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. So we're going to be attacked by a bunch of Revelers, as well as an Ecstatic Piper. When an Ecstatic Piper enters the battlefield, Xenagos Extended attacks this turn if able. Xenagos may not attack thanks to that Compulsory Rest, but we're going to have the attack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Revelers. The Giant Spider will block the Ecstatic Piper. The Hyena Pack will block one of the Rollicking Throngs. Will take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage to go down to 15. And the Rollicking Throng will die. The Ecstatic Piper will die, gaining us 4 life to go back up to 19. Giant Spider returns. Hyena Pack returns. And then we will, at the end of the turn, loot once more, drawing a Plains on this side and a Forest on this side. I think being able to cast the Rampaging Hippo on this side is better, so we'll discard the Sandbrider Naga. On this side, we want to be able to cast the Sifter Worm, but we can definitely cast the Rampaging Hippo, and I think that might be a higher priority. So let's discard the Sifter Worm, and then we will untap. We'll draw. Selesnya draws a Desert of the Indomitable, and Gruul draws a Minotaur Sure Shot. Now, we will play, Selesnya will play a Plains and Desert of the Indomitable, which comes into play tapped, and Gruul will play a Mountain and a Forest. They will both play their rampaging hippos. And then we will go ahead and attack with the hyena pack into a rollicking throng. The gust walker will exert an attack into a rollicking throng, killing both of them. And then we'll pass turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap. We'll play the top 2 cards, the first being Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all revelers gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. The second card will be a Serpent Dancers, which is a 2/4 death touch. We are going to be attacked by all the revelers again. A 2/4, a 4/4, a 2/4, and a 1/3. We will go ahead and block the 4/4 with the Rampaging Hippo. We'll block a 2/4 with the other Rampaging Hippo. And the Frilled Sandwalla and the Giant Spider will tag team the Rollicking Throng. The Rollicking Throng will bounce off the Giant Spider and Frilled Sandwalla, killing it. The Serpent Dancers will get through for 2, taking us to 17. The Rampaging Hippo will eat the Ferris Band Revelers, which will cause us to draw a card. And the Serpent Dancers will trade with the other Rampaging Hippos, causing us to draw another card. So we'll draw 2 cards each. Selesnya will draw a Plains and a Plains. Gruul will draw a Burning Fist Minotaur and a Forest. At the end of the turn, we will loot. Selesnya draws a Hour of Revelation. Gruul draws a Mountain. We will discard a Plains and a Forest, and then we'll untap. The Gustwalker is no longer exerted. We'll draw. Selesnya draws a Forest. Gruul draws a Desert of the Fervent. We'll go ahead and play the Plains and the Forest. Gruul will play the Mountain and the Desert of the Fervent. And then we will cast a Burning Fist Minotaur and a Minotaur Sure Shot. And then we'll pass this turn with the hopes of being able to attack and kill the Serpent Dancers next turn. We'll pass to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap and play 2 cards, the first being Ferris Band Revelers, and the second being Rip to Pieces. At the beginning of combat this turn, each Reveler deals 1 damage to each player and each creature those players control. That's 4 damage to the players, will take us to 13, and then 2 damage to each creature. That will kill the Gust Walker, as well as the Burning Fist Minotaur, the Frilled Sandwalla, and the Minotaur Sure Shot will survive. Then it is the players' turns. They will untap. We'll draw. Selesnya gets a Steadfast Sentinel. Gruul will get a Greater Sandworm. We will attack the Ferris Band Reveler with the Rampaging Hippo. That'll kill the Ferris Band Reveler. We'll each draw a card. Selesnya will get a Survivor's Encampment. Gruul will get a Beneath the Sands. And then we will play the Survivor's Encampment and a Steadfast Sentinel. Gruul will play the Greater Sandworm. And then we will pass turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will play the top card, Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all revelers will gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. And then Xenagos Strike. Xenagos Strike deals 4 damage to each player. That's 8 damage to take us to 5. And then Serpent Dancers is going to be on the attack. Let's go ahead and gang block the Serpent Dancers with the Steadfast Sentinel and the Giant Spider. We get to choose how the damage is ordered, so the Serpent Dancers will go ahead and kill the Steadfast Sentinel, while they will return damage and kill the Serpent Dancers. Steadfast Sentinel dies. Serpent Dancer dies. We'll gain a card each. Selesnya gains a Greater Sandworm, and Gruul gains a Forest. And then at the end of the turn, we will loot once. Selesnya will draw a Bitterbow Sharpshooters. Gruul will draw a Mountain. Gruul will discard the Mountain. Selesnya will discard the Hour of Revelation. And then we will untap. Look at poor little Xenagos, all by himself. Let's draw. Selesnya gets a Runus Stalwart. Gruul gets a Forest. Gruul will go ahead and play both Forests. And then, just for giggles, we'll go ahead and play Beneath the Sands. Getting another basic forest onto the battlefield tapped. We'll shuffle. Selesnya will go ahead and play the Greater Sandworm, as well as Runus Stalwart. But Gruul's Greater Sandworm will attack Xenagos and eat him for the win. Somehow we managed to lose to the Defeat a Guy challenge deck in normal mode, but managed to win against the deck in hard mode. Who knows why this happens? I don't know. Let me know what you thought of the games in the comments below. Like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you'd like to see more such videos. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.